So once again, I'm inviting you into my classroom to explore the building blocks of life. Today, we're going to go over this lecture. I don't know, you may have listened to like 15 lectures before this, or whatever. We're going to go over the last bit of our tour of the cell and talk about the energy production system as well as endosymbiosis. So we're going to cover mitochondria, chloroplasts, and how they got into the cell. Now I'm recording this slide again. Specifically so, it now says, I'm not going to say it because it's not on the slide anymore. Mitochondria will provide the cell with energy molecules. These things called adenosine triphosphate, ATP. We're going to talk a lot about ATP in the future. The mitochondria, to be absolutely crystal clear, is the site of aerobic cellular respiration. Can that be a bonus question, or it can be a major question? Yeah, one of them. Site of aerobic cellular respiration, mitochondria. The mitochondria is the site of aerobic cellular respiration. Now, there are going to be there could be a few hundred mitochondria in a cell or a few thousand mitochondria in a cell. There's not just like 1, 2, or 3, despite what pictures tell you. In this image, each little green dot is a mitochondria. I'm sorry, mitochondrion.
No, mitochondrion.
Yeah, sorry. There are lots of mitochondria in a cheek cell. Your cheek cells don't need much energy, but you can still see. Over here, these bright, bright green ones are heart cells. As you can imagine, a heart cell will need lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of energy. So it has a ton of mitochondria in there. Mitochondrion is a singular. A mitochondrion. Mitochondrion
is from like Star Wars.
That's midichlorian. Yeah, it's a mitochondrion. Okay, here's the deal. If you write mitochondria, I'm not going to be like, use the plural form instead of the singular. Use proper grammar. This is all BS. Why are you doing this to me? So mitochondria, all of them, have a double membrane. What other organelle has a double membrane that we talked about? The nucleus. Good. So double membrane. Oh, and look, there are lots of twists and turns in it. Why does it have lots of twists and turns? Right, increases the surface area, so reactions can happen because the place you get all the energy is right along the edges in here. The more edges you have, the more twists and turns, the more energy you get.
It's like the all-crust pan.
Right. What?
There's a brownie pan that's curved like this.
Oh, okay.
And you get every piece has a piece of crust on it.
So the inner membrane of the mitochondria has those projections. Those projections are called cristae. You don't need to know that. And then this fluid on the inside. It's an aqueous fluid. It's called the mitochondrial matrix. That's where you're making ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And the final one we're going to talk about is the chloroplast. Chloroplasts are the site of photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis?
Sunlight power.
So, sort of, yeah. It's the first step. You're turning sunlight into sugar. And you're going to require a bunch of carbon dioxide to do it. These chloroplasts are also double membrane bound, just like the mitochondria. Get this, mitochondria and chloroplasts are going to both have their own unique DNA inside of them. They don't have, they're not like built by the other parts of the nuclear DNA. They have their own unique genomes. They're independent, and they reproduce independently. Have you guys ever...
They do meiosis, right?
No, they don't. They do mitosis.
Oh, okay.
They, have you guys ever covered up a plant with plastic at some point?
Why?
No, by accident. It's winter. You left a garbage can lid on top. If you pull it off, the plants are still they're sort of like this whitish gray color, yellow.
Albino.
Right. You've seen this plants that are that color?
Yeah, if you go shrimp.
Your plants die that way.
But before they die.
They turn like that, like a grayish color.
Yeah, grayish color. What happens if you're able to save them and you put them in the sunlight?
They stay yellow for a little while and they slowly turn back to, well,
Right. No, you're exactly right. They stay yellow and then they over time start turning green again. And that's because the chloroplasts aren't being made until they're needed. Okay, how about this? You guys have been in this situation. Have you, at least you understand the concept. If you've gone to the gym before, you've at the very least thought about going to the gym and said, I should go to the gym. If you've gone to the gym, you'll notice the first time you go, it's kind of hard. It hurts. You run out of energy fairly quickly. But then you never go again. But then, as you do it progressively more and more and more, it gets easier. Because your cells, as you're requiring them to use up their energy, start saying, oh crap, we need more mitochondria. And they start producing them.
it's like when you walk through like 14 miles with a backpack. One day to the next day. It's easier.
Last one, guys. And this is a crucial key concept. And you've probably never heard this before. Some of you may have. It's an idea called endosymbiosis. The mitochondria, the chloroplast, and the nucleus can be explained through an idea called endosymbiosis. In this case, one cell in the ancient past somehow developed a nucleus. And we'll get into that in Bio 102 and how that may have happened. It swallowed a brown algae that happened to be really, really good at producing energy. And instead of digesting it, it said, if I feed you sugar, you'll give me energy. Let's keep you around. So that organism was engulfed with phagocytosis. It was swallowed up. That creates one cell, two cell. As that cell gets swallowed, it ends up inside a double membrane. It survives.
They like adopt it.
Yeah, they adopt it. They feed it. It's just like what you would do to a pet, right? You let it into the house. You give it food. It gives you something. I don't know, comfort. Oxytocin, right. Later on, another algae, a green algae, got swallowed up by a cell. Now this green algae, we have to feed our first algae sugar. This new one makes sugar. How cool is that? So you get them in there. They're working. What? Glucose. Thanks. I love the random shout-outs from the back of the room. It's glucose. I know that one. It is. They make glucose. So now we've got glucose that's being made in the chloroplast, getting transported over to the mitochondrion, and producing energy for the entire cell. So that's endosymbiosis. A larger cell swallows a smaller cell for mutual benefit. There we go. So we've got now a cell that has an energy production system within it. Some means of providing the energy the cell needs to keep surviving. And the cell does need energy to survive. We talked about the mitochondrion, and we talked about the chloroplast, two double membrane-bound proteins. The chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis, where you're able to take inorganic carbon from the atmosphere, not you, plants. Photoautotrophs can take inorganic carbon from the atmosphere, fix it, which means attach it to an organic molecule that then you can use. And the organic molecule that it builds is glucose. And we're going to talk a lot more about glucose as the semester goes on. That glucose, as well as other types of organic molecules, get broken down in aerobic cellular respiration, which occurs in the mitochondria. Now, do not ever, ever, ever say the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's terrible. Don't talk about it. It doesn't mean anything. What the mitochondria is, or the mitochondrion is the site of aerobic cellular respiration, where you're producing energy intermediaries, little batteries that can do work. You're taking adenosine diphosphate and converting it into adenosine triphosphate in a condensation reaction. Both of these organelles, chloroplasts and mitochondria, were initially thought to have been taken up into the cell as independent microscopic organisms. So you've got the mitochondria, maybe as a brown algae that happen to be super good at oxidizing um, materials and using that energy to power an ATP pump, ATP synthase, to create lots and lots of ATP, way better than its neighbors could. And a blue-green algae, a cyanobacteria, that was just really good at creating sugar. So a larger cell took them in and didn't digest them, but instead kept them alive inside of its cytoplasm as a supplemental organelle. And that's probably why these two organelles independently reproduce inside of the cell, and they maintain their own unique genome within the cell. So that idea that one organism took up another, protected it within itself, and they formed a mutually symbiotic relationship where both are getting a benefit is called endosymbiosis. It's a little bit of a lot, but that's where we came from. Once again, we've got the content review questions. They're to help you focus your studies for this particular lecture. In the next set of lectures, we're not moving away from the cell. We're just going to, I gave you the broad overview of the cell, and now for the next several dozen mini lectures, we're going to go in depth on what each and every part of the cell does. And our next big section is all about the membrane. So how things come in, how things leave, how we can form gradients, how we can transport water, how osmosis and passive transport occurs. We're going to learn a lot about the way the cell is able to move materials in and out. And yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. So see you there.